Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Prime Minister Modi outlines his vision for the third term of his government at the ET World Leaders Forum. Insists that India is scripting a distinct success story in every walk of life. Reiterates that the 21st century will be the century of India. United Nations all set to vaccinate Gaza's children against polio during pauses in fighting. WHO delivers 1.2 million polio vaccine doses. A Brazilian court orders suspension of social media platform X after it misses the deadline to appoint its legal representative in Brazil. Users face login issues. Rubina Francis clinches bronze medal in the women's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event, secures India's 5th medal in the Paris Paralympic Games. Well, a little while back, the Prime Minister was speaking at an event in New Delhi. The Prime Minister outlined his vision for the third term of his government at the ET World Leaders Forum. Addressing the forum, the Prime Minister said that today India is scripting a distinct success story in every sphere of life. The Prime Minister reiterated that 21st century will be the century of India.
भारत आज एक अलग ही सक्सेस स्टोरी लिख रहा है। भारत में हमने रिफॉर्म्स का असर अपनी इकोनॉमी की परफॉर्मेंस में देखा है। यहां तक कि भारत ने कई बार प्रिडिक्शन से भी और अपने पीयर से भी बेटर परफॉर्म किया है। जैसे पिछले 10 सालों में ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी 35% बढ़ी है, लेकिन इन्हीं 10 सालों में हमारी इकोनॉमी करीब करीब 90% बढ़ी है। ये वो सस्टेन ग्रोथ है जो हमने हासिल की है। ये वो सस्टेन ग्रोथ है जिसका हम वादा करते हैं, और ये वो सस्टेन ग्रोथ है जो आगे भी जारी रहेगा।
And the Prime Minister said that there has been a transformational change seen in the lives of Indians.
बीते वर्षों में भारतीयों के जीवन में हम बड़ा बदलाव लाने में सफल हुए हैं। हमारी सरकार ने भारत के करोड़ों करोड़ नागरिकों के जीवन को छुआ है। देश के नागरिकों को गुड गवर्नेंस देना ये हमारा संकल्प है। रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म, ट्रांसफॉर्म, ये हमारा मंत्र रहा है, और देश के लोग भी हमारे इस सेवा भाव को देख रहे हैं। देश के लोग बीते 10 वर्षों में देश की उपलब्धियों को देख रहे हैं। इसलिए आज भारत के लोग एक नए विश्वास से भी भरे हुए हैं। विश्वास खुद पर, विश्वास देश की प्रगति पर, विश्वास नीतियों पर, विश्वास निर्णयों पर और विश्वास नियत पर भी है।
And for more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Divyendu Mondal, who's joining us over the phone line. Divyendu, the Prime Minister touched on a variety of issues, from economy to infrastructure to development to India emerging as the voice of the global South. You were in that room when the Prime Minister was speaking. What would you say was the key theme of his speech today?
Well, Amrit, that's right. You know, when the Prime Minister was speaking at this particular event, which is the World Leaders Forum organized by Economic Times, there were several senior, people, including presidents and vice presidents of several multinational companies in this particular room. And I have seen, when the Prime Minister was saying that he's committed towards the development of India, he's committed towards reform, and he asked the corporate world, will you perform if I reform? So, it received massive cheers amongst the crowd and including the senior, management of multinational companies that were sitting here. He also said that, his government is committed towards providing better infrastructure, providing, removing the red tapeism, providing, industrial parks, providing facilities for manufacturing, and which was very well taken by the managements of several companies that assembled here. Plus, he also highlighted how his government over the next couple of years will work towards making India, or perhaps bringing India towards the path of Viksit Bharat, which the government has committed for 2047. So of course, all these years before 2047 would be the foundational years for India's Viksit Bharat, the commitment that it has taken. And the government, Prime Minister Modi said that his government will be paving the way for the future, and all the policies that his government are taking and have been taking is keeping in mind the better future of India. So of course, he also spoke about how the government alleviated 25 crore people out of poverty, how the government have been providing facilities for women. He also spoke about the Lakpati Didis, that 11 lakh Lakpati Didis have been created by the policies of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government. So of course, these were some of the key highlights that he spoke at this particular World Leaders Forum here in New Delhi. But also, Amrit, about the Global South, he categorically mentioned about how the Global South will be playing a very crucial role in the coming years, and the 21st century will be the century of India as well as of the Global South. Given the fact that the opportunities for the countries of the Global South are coming in, and India could perhaps be a leader of the Global South.
Absolutely. And he concluded by saying that as India grows, as India develops, the world gains, humanity gains, therefore exhorting those who are interested to come and be a part of this growth story. Divyendu Mondal, many thanks for joining us for the moment. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar was also speaking at the ET World Forum. Speaking there, he said China's is a unique problem. He called it a unique problem, and he says India is not the only country in the world that's having a debate about that country. Addressing the forum in New Delhi, the minister said that everyone chose to consciously overlook the nature of Chinese production decades ago, and they are now complaining.
There's a general China problem. We are not the only country in the world which is having a debate about China. Go to Europe and ask them, what is today among your major economic or national security debates? It's about China. Look at the United States. It's obsessed with China, and rightly so in many ways. So the fact is, let's not make out as though it's only India which has a China problem. India has a China problem, a special China problem. That's over and above the world's general China problem.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday flagged off 3 new Vande Bharat Express trains to boost connectivity in the states of Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. After flagging off the trains, Prime Minister Modi reiterated his government's commitment to ensuring comfortable travel for all passengers on Indian Railways. He stated that the mission will continue until railways can guarantee comfort for the poor and the middle classes. More in this report.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi flagged off 3 state-of-the-art semi-high-speed Vande Bharat trains via video conferencing on Saturday. These 3 Vande Bharat trains are connecting Meerut with Lucknow, Madurai with Bengaluru and Chennai with Nagercoil. The initiative aims to enhance rail connectivity and promote faster growth in southern states. The development is crucial for achieving the goal of Viksit Bharat or Developed India by 2047.
वंदे भारत आधुनिक होती भारतीय रेलवे का नया चेहरा है। आज हर शहर में, हर रूट पर वंदे भारत की मांग है। हाई स्पीड ट्रेनों के आने से लोगों में अपने व्यापार और रोजगार को, अपने सपनों को विस्तार देने का भरोसा जगता है।
Addressing the flag-off ceremony virtually, Prime Minister Modi also stressed on hike of railway budget and government's commitment to modernize the rail network.
इस साल के बजट में हमने तमिलनाडु को 6,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा का रेलवे बजट दिया है। ये बजट 2014 की तुलना में 7 गुना से अधिक है। इसी तरह कर्नाटका के लिए भी इस बार 7,000 करोड़ से ज्यादा का बजट आवंटित हुआ है।
Vande Bharat trains have now become a symbol of India's aspirations and dreams. A total of 102 Vande Bharat Express trains are being operated across the country and over 3 crore people have travelled so far in these trains. On the other hand, the expansion of the Vande Bharat train network also gave a boost to tourism in India.
जिन जगहों तक वंदे भारत एक्सप्रेस की सुविधा पहुंच रही है, वहां पर्यटकों की संख्या बढ़ रही है। पर्यटकों की संख्या बढ़ने का मतलब है वहां कारोबारियों, दुकानदारों की आय में बढ़ोतरी हो रही है। हमारे यहां रोजगार के नए अवसर भी तैयार हो रहे हैं।
The indigenously developed Vande Bharat train is equipped with state-of-the-art passenger amenities and provides a faster, more comfortable and convenient travel experience. Now Indian Railways is gearing up to introduce the sleeper version of Vande Bharat, as Prime Minister Modi announced today. Modern rail infrastructure is a strong pillar of the vision of Viksit Bharat. It will be a game changer as it will give a boost to India's economy as well as realizing the goal of self-reliant India or Atmanirbhar Bharat. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
And Prime Minister Modi inaugurated a 2-day national conference of the district judiciary at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi on Saturday. The event saw the presence of Union Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal, the Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud and the Supreme Court Bar Association President Kapil Sibal. In his speech, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the 75-year journey of the Supreme Court. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay brings us more.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday addressed the National Conference of District Judiciary on the occasion of 75 years of the country's apex court, the Supreme Court of India. PM Modi addressed the conference in the presence of Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud, Supreme Court Bar Association President Kapil Sibal and several other dignitaries. In his address, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that generations of Indians have contributed to the judiciary by trusting it. No one has ever distrusted the Supreme Court or the judicial system.
भारत के लोगों ने कभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट पर हमारी न्यायपालिका पर अविश्वास नहीं किया। इसलिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ये 75 वर्ष मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी के रूप में भारत के गौरव को और अधिक बढ़ाते हैं।
Talking about the new criminal laws, PM Modi said that the country has seen massive changes in the justice system after 60 years of independence.
इन कानूनों की भावना है सिटीजन फर्स्ट, डिग्निटी फर्स्ट एंड जस्टिस फर्स्ट। हमारे क्रिमिनल लॉज शासक और गुलाम वाली कॉलोनियल सोच से आजाद हुए हैं। सेडिशन जैसे अंग्रेजी कानूनों को खत्म किया गया है। न्याय संहिता की सोच नागरिकों को सजा देगा, यही एकमात्र नहीं है, लेकिन नागरिकों को सुरक्षा देना भी है।
The Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, termed the district judiciary the backbone of the judiciary and said it is a crucial component of the rule of law.
The quality of our work and the conditions in which we provide justice to citizens determines whether they have confidence in us and is a test of our own accountability to society. The district judiciary is therefore called upon to shoulder tremendous responsibility and is aptly described as the backbone of the Indian judiciary.
The two-day conference will throw light on ease of justice and speed of justice, human resource, and issues pertaining to the justice system. The conference will also have a session on judicial wellness. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
And still to come on DD India Newshour, Kamala Harris surges ahead of Donald Trump in the latest opinion polls. She's been consistently surging ahead. Putin to visit Mongolia despite the risk of arrest under ICC warrant. Russia says it's not worried. NATO Secretary General says Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region is legitimate.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
As our ecosystems change, we not only need to amplify our efforts to save them, but we also need to adapt our lives.
Today, everything grows here. At an altitude of 5,000 meters, we grow mushrooms, strawberries, watermelon, and tomatoes. It's been made possible by the introduction of technology.
It's like with stocks. You diversify your portfolio to minimize risk. That's what we're trying to do with the mixed forest, too.
People's mindset is changing in favor of electric mobility, and I see huge success in the future as well.
Same eelgrass is one of the most important elements in the ecosystem along the Baltic Sea coast. It produces oxygen and provides habitat for smaller fish.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Amritpal Singh. As election fever grips the United States, campaigning in the battleground states intensifies, with the Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump launching a series of attacks on his rival and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. But latest opinion polls present a completely different picture. It could be troubling for Trump, showing a decline in his support base since Harris threw her hat in the fray. DD India's Mahir Maihuri has more.
As the race to the White House heats up, Pennsylvania emerges as a key battleground. After narrowly surviving an assassination attempt in July, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump took center stage on Friday with a high-stakes campaign rally in the state, underscoring its critical role in the election.
67 days from now, We're going to win Pennsylvania. We're going to defeat Comrade Kamala Harris.
Back in Washington, D.C., while attending the annual summit of the conservative organization Moms for Liberty, Trump launched a veiled attack on Vice President Kamala Harris, branding her as a defective person and escalating the rhetoric in their emerging rivalry.
She's defective. She's a defective person. And we don't need another defective person as President of the United States. We just had that.
Despite Donald Trump's vigorous campaigning, Democrat nominee Kamala Harris has surpassed the former president in at least 8 polls conducted since the Democratic National Convention. Now let's take a closer look at some of these key opinion polls. In a Wall Street Journal poll, Kamala Harris is backed by 48% of respondents, while Donald Trump has 47%. A Reuters Ipsos poll found Kamala Harris holding a 45% edge over Donald Trump's 41% among registered voters. In an outward intelligence survey, Kamala Harris leads Donald Trump by more than 5% in a two-way contest, with 52.6% compared to Trump's 47.4%. In Quinnipiac's first poll of likely voters, Kamala Harris holds a 49% edge over Donald Trump's 47%. In a Suffolk USA Today poll, Kamala Harris leads over Trump by 5 percentage points among likely voters, with a margin of 48% for Kamala and 43% to Trump. Opinion polls indicate that Donald Trump has struggled to maintain support among women voters since Kamala Harris became the Democratic presidential candidate for the November 5 election. In a Reuters Ipsos poll released this week, Harris leads Trump by a notable 13 percentage points, with 49% of women voters backing her compared to Trump's 36%. However, the same poll offers a glimmer of relief for Trump, showing that he maintains a narrow lead over Kamala Harris in 7 key battleground states. Among registered voters, Trump holds a slight edge with 45% compared to Harris's 43%. Mihir Makri reporting for DD India.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit Mongolia next week. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Moscow has no concerns about President Putin's upcoming visit to Mongolia, despite an arrest warrant issued against him by the International Criminal Court. The ICC had issued the warrant in 2023, accusing Putin of war crimes related to illegal deportation of hundreds of Ukrainian children following Russia's military operation in Ukraine that began in February 22. While Russia is not a member of the ICC and does not recognize its jurisdiction, Mongolia is a member of the court and acknowledges its authority. And my colleague Dasha Chanishova joins us from Moscow on that. Dasha, Russia says it's not worried about, it's worried about the arrest in Mongolia. Ukraine has appealed to Mongolia as a member of the ICC. It's incumbent upon them. That puts Mongolia in quite a tight spot, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and actually we remember that last year President Vladimir Putin has skipped the BRICS summit in South Africa because he didn't want to put the leadership in South Africa into the difficult situation to choose whether to arrest him or not. We also have heard the Kremlin saying that this time round, when Putin is now traveling to Mongolia, Russia has absolutely no worries with the potential arrest of Vladimir Putin in this country. The Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said that Russia has a wonderful relation and dialogue with the friends from Mongolia, and therefore there are no concerns. At the same time, we're also hearing the international community, including the Ukrainian side, obviously, and the ICC itself, urging Mongolia to do what it is supposed to do under the Roman Statute. But in Moscow, there is absolutely strong confidence that no arrest will take place while Vladimir Putin is in the country. Speaking about the need for this visit, we also understand that that could actually serve as a precedent for other countries that are part of the ICC and the Roman Statute, that President Vladimir Putin can travel there and not get arrested. And this is what the political analyst here stress will become one of the key takeaways of this visit.
Absolutely. You know, the problem really is that the ICC does not have a police or a force of its own to execute that arrest. It just makes it incumbent on the member countries to do that. Dasha, also, the NATO Secretary General has said that Ukraine's incursion into Kursk is legitimate. Does that raise tempers or tensions in the conflict?
Well, for Moscow, it's been clear, as the officials here stress from the very beginning, that the Western countries are interested in the conflict in Ukraine and want to do everything possible to make it last longer. And they are also the ones who are involved into this conflict. That's according to the Russian official rhetoric. So this statement doesn't really surprise anyone in the Russian political spectrum. Moscow has been maintaining that the supplies of Western weapons to Ukraine have only made this conflict possible to last so long. We also have heard Moscow insisting many times that NATO countries, especially the US, do not want to start the direct confrontation with Moscow. But what they do want to do is to continue to fight, as Moscow officials say, to the last Ukrainian. And this is precisely what they are doing. And also the very strong signaling from Moscow against allowing Ukraine to strike targets deeper inside Russia. Because if NATO Secretary General says that incursion was legitimate, then obviously there is an expectation and the fear in Russia that the use of long-range weapons could be authorized by the Western countries. And in this case, Moscow has said it will be forced to respond in such a way that has not been seen before.
Dasha Chernysova, many thanks for joining us for the moment from Moscow. Thank you. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dismissed the head of the country's Air Force on Friday, days after the crash of an F-16 warplane in what may have been a friendly fire incident. Zelensky gave no specific reason for the decision, but said that it was necessary to strengthen military leadership. Zelensky further:
I have decided to replace the commander of the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. I am immensely grateful to all our military pilots, all engineers, all mobile fire group warriors, and all air defense personnel. To everyone who is truly fighting for Ukraine for results.
And Zelensky further added that the country is not just talking about long-range solutions, but about strong solutions.
We in Ukraine and our friends around the world are not just talking about long-range solutions, about strong solutions. We are talking about what can bring this war to an end. Because the most important thing for Putin in his wars is terror against civilians, intimidations and cruelty towards people.
The plane crashed on Monday while defending against an intense aerial attack by Russian forces, which on Friday hit an apartment block in Ukraine's second-largest city, Kharkiv, killing at least 7 people and wounding scores of people. In a first reaction to Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region, NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that the incursion is legitimate, and Ukrainian President Zelensky has made it clear that the operation aims to create a buffer zone to prevent further Russian attacks from across the border. The NATO chief said that Ukraine was running a risk with the advance onto Russian territory, but that it was up to Kyiv on how to conduct its military campaign. The United Nations will start vaccinating some 640,000 children in Gaza Strip against polio on Sunday, a campaign that relies on daily 8-hour pauses in fighting between Israel and Hamas in specific areas of the besieged enclave. The complex campaign, which is targeting children under the age of 10, follows confirmation last week that a baby was paralyzed by type 2 polio virus, the first such case in the territory in 25 years. WHO officials say that at least 90% of the children need to be vaccinated twice, with 4 weeks between doses for the campaign to succeed. But it faces huge challenges in Gaza, which has largely been destroyed by nearly 11 months of conflict. The UN agency said that the campaign would occur in 3 phases in central, southern and northern Gaza. The World Health Organization's Director General has issued an appeal for protection of health teams preparing for polio vaccination campaign in Gaza. Tedros stressed that it's imperative for all parties involved to ensure the safety of health workers and medical facilities and, of course, children during the rollout of this vital public health initiative. And let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Hundreds of people protested against the far-right alternative for Germany in Erfurt on Saturday ahead of the regional elections, where the AfD is expected to perform well. Demonstrations were also took place in Saxony, where the second regional election is taking place. A powerful explosion rocked Mansoura neighborhood in Yemen's Aden on Friday evening. Originating from a gas station, the blast caused panic among residents and was followed by flames and an intense flash of light visible across the city. The exact number of casualties is still unclear. The receding waterline of Lake Habaniye in Iraq's Anbar province has exposed vast arid land due to years of drought, significantly diminishing the lake's size and deterring summer visitors. Baghdad attributes the lake's low water levels to upstream dam construction by Turkey on the Euphrates River, which also flows through Syria. In Colombia, truck drivers protested on the streets of Bogota, joining a nationwide demonstration against the recent diesel price hike announced by President Gustavo Petro's government. Nidia Hernandez, the president of the Truckers Association, criticized the increase, stating concerns over rising costs across the market. And still to come up on DD India Newshour, we'll discuss the roadmap of the Prime Minister Modi's third term in office, what he shared with the ET World Leaders Forum.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Amrit Palsi. A look at the headlines. Prime Minister Modi outlines his vision for the third term of his government at the ET World Leaders Forum. Says, today India is scripting a distinct success story in every sphere of life. Reiterates that 21st century will be the century of India. UN all set to vaccinate Gaza's children against polio during pauses in fighting. WHO delivers 1.2 million polio vaccine doses. Brazilian court orders suspension of social media platform X after it misses the deadline to appoint its legal representative in Brazil. Users face login issues. Rubina Francis clinches bronze medal in the women's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event. Secures India's 5th medal at the Paris Paralympic Games. And to talk about the Prime Minister's address to the ET World Leaders Forum, I'm joined by Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist. Shekhar, good to have you today. The Prime Minister says that that the world has immense confidence in India's capabilities. He believes that the next century, the 21st century, belongs to India, and he's saying he's put out reasons for that, saying that look at the track record, and he also shared his visions. What do you think was the central message that the Prime Minister was trying to send out today?
Well, thank you, Amritpalji. The Prime Minister today made it very clear that in terms of commitment for high growth, in terms of innovation, in terms of helping the industry, whether the big industry, medium industry, or with greater focus on MSMEs, the government is committed to ensure there is a fast growth track, all that is needed for these industries to perform, to transform, and to make high quality products so that India stands out in terms of manufacturing. And today he said, look at the journey that India has undertaken in the last 10 years in particularly in terms of reduction of poverty, in terms of infrastructure built up, not just the physical infrastructure, the social infrastructure, and also the fact that today there is a lot of focus on India's women and youth. He referred to the 2024 mandate, which after 60 years, the government has come back for a third time. And that grows to show that there is continuity in policy, there is a continuity in the approach towards solving the economic problems. That's why the most important part, I would say, was when the Prime Minister listed out what all his government and he himself would be is willing to promise and what is expected of the industry. Particularly, he said, look, we will provide you with all kinds of facilities to ensure that you stay on the track of innovation. And if you innovate, then you can perform. He also said, we'll give you stable policy, but you must do positive disruption. In the sense, you must bring changes, you must experiment, you must innovate so that our products, our economy stays ahead. And also the Prime Minister particularly wanted that Indian industries should keep on focusing on zero defect, high quality manufacturing, because that is how the world will look up to India. Already there is so much of attention on India's economy. The Prime Minister, in fact, started with the statistics saying that while the world economy has grown by 35%, Indian economy has grown by 90%. So you can see an island of growth among the world where the economy has been rather very sluggish. Amritpal.
But Shekhar, what gives him the confidence when he says that sustained growth will continue in the future?
So the confidence comes from the fact that already the results that are showing up on the ground, particularly whether it is right from the change in the character of the aspirational districts. Most poor districts were chosen for very innovative anti-poverty schemes and the results that have come. Similarly, when it comes to how MSMEs have come out from the crisis that was caused by COVID, how they are now on a new path of growth, that is giving confidence. And also the fact that whether it is agriculture, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is banking, whether it is digitalization, so the way the country has adapted to these changes and way the country is looking forward to more innovation in terms of the problem solving, in terms of new products, in terms of better utility of the available potential that is available within this country. And the fact that today there is so much of confidence among the people of India. The people of India today confident about their own capabilities, they are confident about India's growth story, and they are confident about the future in terms of what they are beginning to see right now.
Exactly. When he says that in the past 10 years, 25 crores have been lifted out of poverty, and this whole the neo middle class is now driving the growth engine of the country. He also, in his speech said that for us, developing infrastructure, or for his government, developing infrastructure is crucial because it is crucial to the ease of living of people. He says whether Vande Bharat expresses that he launched today, or roads or expressways or airports in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, he says they were being constructed earlier also, but my approach is that makes ease of living for people.
Indeed, Amritpal, the Prime Minister, if you recall, he first talked about ease in travel for the first time when he addressed from the Red Fort in 2014. He wanted trade travel to be a kind of an experience. And today, fact that you have more than 20 Vande Bharats crisscrossing the country, these semi-speed, semi-high-speed trains have brought about so much of change in terms of travel duration, comfort of travel, and the fact that they are connecting major cities. And with the result that he particularly mentioned how tourist traffic has increased to those places which have been connected by this new trade service. Apart from the fact that in terms of, look, for instance, the project that has been, which was given a green flag at Palghar yesterday, particularly Vadhavan port. This is going to be the biggest, rather the deepest
deep water port, yes.
Container port. And that is coming up in a district which is also closely linked to the Delhi-Mumbai economic corridor. And the fact that this is going to bring about a big change. And yesterday, the Prime Minister also launched a project, particularly take for instance for development of fisheries, development of new harbors, fish landing places, processing units. So Prime Minister particularly talked about way we are approaching different sectors of economy in terms of holistic formula, where we no longer government departments are looking at it in terms of silos. Rather, things are being seen with an idea to see what should be our potential in 20 years' time, what should be our optimum utilization of various things that we create today. Accordingly, things are being planned and things are being executed. And people are beginning to see that these changes, that both the physical infrastructure changes, social infrastructure changes, and the fact that this is an inclusive growth, because no section of the society is being left out in this growth story. It is not just a trickle-down approach, which normally people think that a higher growth will lead to, but this is the approach, the current approach and new policies that have come are intent to create more jobs, more skillful employment, more gainful employment, particularly at the lower rung of the society, so that everybody is as a part. At this summit particularly, the Prime Minister, in fact, wanted the captains of industry to take this opportunity and to, now that the government has rolled out several schemes, is giving incentives. It is now time for the Indian industry to live up to the commitment that they had made to the government and the Prime Minister and start delivering in terms of investment, in terms of manufacturing. For too long, what has happened is government has been doing its best to see that the manufacturing picks up. And for some reason or the other, the response of the Indian industry had been such that they have been too cautious or waiting for more better things to happen. Now the Prime Minister said, look, we are on a stable economic direction in the sense our policies are clear. We know what we want in the next 10 years and 20 years. And this goal of Viksit Bharat in 2047, this is not some empty dream. It has got very concrete steps. And in the less than 100 days, the kind of major announcements that have been made and rollout of major programs only goes to show that this government is, in terms of resolve, after the third mandate, in terms of resolve is much more committed to India's growth story.
In that room, Shekhar, today, this evening, the captains of the industry, global captains were also present. When he said that one of the pillars of Viksit Bharat or developed India is making India a global manufacturing hub. Was he cutting ice with them when he was addressing them to come and be a part of this growth story? Because he said as India grows, humanity benefits, the world grows.
Absolutely. You see, that increasingly the government has been creating conditions where, you can have global companies look at India as a manufacturing hub. In fact, the whole idea has been, many of them have been looking for alternatives to China as a manufacturing base. And though we have not said it so openly, but it's very clear that India is looking as a competitor in terms of offering the best practices, the best of environment.
Shekhar, may I interrupt? Jaishankar today, Dr. Jaishankar today said that, the world is now, when they were setting up their production bases in China decades ago, the world never took notice of it. Today, the same people are complaining because of the practices they adopt. So they're saying it openly.
Yeah, Amritpal, you actually, I would say, brought out the very, very important point. The fact that the Jaishankar mentioned it, that everybody is talking about China in terms of economic challenges. People are there are big multinational companies which are very keen to see which is the best place for them to shift manufacturing, say from China to any other place which offers the best of deal. And already you have seen companies like Apple have set up manufacturing units. There are other big global manufacturers who are looking at India as a manufacturing base so that they could make products here and then export elsewhere. Like earlier they were doing in China, because the rising cost of manufacturing in China is also a big factor, and India appears as a very attractive in terms of our low labor costs, and also the fact that India's better infrastructure facilities that are coming up also promises, in terms of ease of business for these big companies. That is why what the Prime Minister said today was that we have been matching up with work for the commitments that we are making constantly. It is not just we are talking in the in the air. Whatever we are saying, the goals that we are setting for ourselves, the goals that we are setting for different sectors of the economy is backed by very concrete action on the ground. So all those decisions in terms of investment, in terms of whether it is public expenditure on infrastructure or in terms of agricultural growth, and also pushing for new crop like millet, which the Prime Minister did mention today. All that goes shows it is not just one sector the Prime Minister is looking at as a potential for India's growth. In fact, there have been several areas that have been identified, and agriculture is a very important sector that is getting a lot of attention. The whole idea is that will also improve the lot of our farmers. They will get better price for the produce. At the same time, India competes globally. And when you said that India's growth story will also be a global growth story, because the world is looking at India in terms of how they would benefit in India's growth story. Absolutely. Because that is why there is a greater interest in how India is currently looking at its challenges and what it is doing under the Prime Ministership of Modi.
Okay. Shikhar, for all the vision, for all the roadmap, for development, for progress, for growth, the Prime Minister highlighted you can't do it unless you have skills, knowledge and research. And therefore, he insisted you need to become a hub. He said his government is, put out a research fund, etc. But basically, the academia and industry need to come together if India wishes to become the R&D hub of the world.
Absolutely, because today the world is changing so fast. Its requirements are changing, markets are changing. So our industries, our captains of industry must also consider the fact that the challenge is constantly changing. Goalposts are shifting. So therefore, they have to keep pace with what is in demand, what would be in demand, say 5 years hence, 10 years hence. That's only possible if you have an approach that takes care of the present situation, at the same time is able to make accurate projection of things to come in the coming decade or more. So that would require, putting heads together, getting the best of brain to plan out and also be part of that growth story. Because what has happened is earlier is knee-jerk reactions or ad hoc decisions have always hampered the ability and capability of our manufacturing to meet the global standards. And in particular, the Prime Minister emphasis on high quality, because high quality is the only guarantee for India's products, India's manufacturing to stay ahead of others. Because quality is an issue that the Prime Minister has often flagged when it comes to Indian products. He has even talked of zero defect manufacturing, because this is the way you can make a mark. And it should not be, because the Prime Minister has always been having an approach which is Kaam Chalao approach. Because he has been repeatedly telling Indian manufacturers, look, if you want to compete out in the global market, then you will have to make products that are the best. Otherwise, it's not possible. I mean, there are countries today where their produce is, or their products are still in demand because of that emphasis on quality and innovation.
True, very true. Shekhar Iyer, we leave it there. Thank you very much for taking our time and lending us your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the Indian government unveiled a new initiative that aims to propel India to the forefront of the global biotechnology sector. The new Bio E3, that's Biotechnology for Economy, Employment and Environment Policy, was released by Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh in Delhi on Saturday, that promises to transform the nation's manufacturing landscape. According to Minister Singh, India's bioeconomy has seen explosive growth, skyrocketing from $10 billion in 2014 to over $130 billion in 2024. With projections to reach $300 billion by 2030, the policy aims to further boost this momentum. Key features of the policy include establishment of the biomanufacturing hubs, bio-AI clusters and support for entrepreneurship in various sectors, including bio-based chemicals and precision biotherapeutics.
Right now, we have 86% of our fuel consumption being met by petrol. And the entire petrol comes from the other countries. So if we are able to recycle 25% plastic waste, 25% biomass, and the rest of the carbon dioxide, we would become totally undependent, non-dependent on the petroleum sources. So that will not only live up to the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, but it will also make us self-sufficient and domestically much more independent. Future economy of the world is going to be largely bioeconomy driven or bio driven. And just as the industrial revolution of 1990s was IT driven, the next revolution of the 21st century is going to be bio driven. And why it becomes significant for us is that while the IT revolution was led by the West, but this time I think it's now going to be India's turn. And India has an opportunity to take a lead in this next revolution.
The 16th edition of the NADA Auto Show 2024 kicked off on August 27th and will come to an end on Sunday at the Bikruti Mandap Exhibition Hall in Kathmandu. Nepal is currently witnessing a surge in electric vehicles market, and this year's NADA Auto Show showcases a range of new electric vehicle brands, highlighting the increasing competition in the industry. Nepal offers huge incentives for electric vehicles to its residents, while there is heavy taxation and duties on petrol and diesel automobiles. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. In India, actually. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar reached Dehradun on Saturday for his two-day visit to the Indian state of Uttarakhand. The Vice President interacted with scientists, students and faculty members of the CSIR Indian Institute of Petroleum in Dehradun. Speaking on the occasion, he highlighted the importance of sustainable development in economic progress. The Election Commission of India has revised the polling day for the Haryana Assembly elections from October 1st to October 5th. Also, the counting day for Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana Assembly elections now scheduled for October 8th. The decision was made in the consideration of the Bishnoi community's centuries-old tradition of participating in the Asoj Amasya festival. India's Women and Child Development Minister Annapurna Devi launched the 7th edition of the nationwide Rashtriya Poshan Mah in Gandhinagar on Saturday. The day began with nationwide plantation drive from 10 to 11:30 in the morning. The mission has been instrumental in advancing nutritional outcomes for pregnant women, lactating mothers, adolescent girls and children under 6 years of age in a comprehensive manner. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das on Saturday highlighted that the RBI's a crucial role in shaping India's economy. While speaking at a Chartered Accountants conference in Bhubaneswar, he emphasized the importance of Chartered Accountants in guiding economic stability, noting the RBI's pivotal role in maintaining economic stability since the 1991 financial reforms. A Brazilian Supreme Court justice ordered the immediate suspension of social media platform X in the country after a court-imposed deadline expired for the company to identify a legal representative in Brazil. The move is the latest chapter in the ongoing feud between Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes and Elon Musk, which also included freezing of the satellite internet provider Starlink's financial accounts in Brazil. Amid the underlying feud over X, Brazil Supreme Court also blocked the local bank accounts of Starlink's satellite internet firm, which is 40% owned by Musk, leading the company on Friday to ask the court to suspend the decision. You're watching DD India Newshour. Time now for some news from the world of sports. Let's take a look at updates from Paralympics. India's Rubina Francis held her nerves to win a bronze in the women's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event on Saturday. Rubina secured the bronze by shooting 211.1 in the Paris range. The 25-year-old shooter remained in the top 4 for majority of the event, finishing in the podium spots. The Indian shooter even reached the top 2 spots in her 19th and 20th shots, but could not manage to hold on to the position. She finished with 211.1 points. That's just behind Iran's Sareh Javnamardi and Turkey's Aysel Ozkan. Rubina makes it India's 5th medal at the 2024 edition of the Paralympic Games. This is also India's 4th medal from the shooting contingent as well. And Prime Minister Modi, in a social media post on X, termed Rubina getting bronze as, and I quote, "yet another proud moment for India as Rubina Francis wins a bronze in the P2 women's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event at the Paralympics 2024. Her exceptional focus, determination and perseverance have given outstanding results," unquote. India's Sukant Kadam entered the semi-finals in the para badminton SL4 category. Sukant beat Thailand's Siripong Timarom by 2-0. With this, Sukant joins Suhas Yathiraj in SL4 category, and with 2 Indians lined up for para badminton semi-final, India is confirmed at least of a bronze medal for now. That's it then in this edition of DD India Newshour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Newshour.